This is K1DBC. All stations, please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in 5 minutes. Playing a few more minutes of the Ham Radio official documentary by Grace Wilcott, and in conjunction with the University of Montana and Montana PBS. Here's a few more minutes of that.
A technical hobby, but it's not one that that really should scare people away. Most amateurs today are using equipment which is manufactured. They assemble it into a station which meets their particular needs, but this isn't any different than, for example, the hi-fi enthusiast who has a wide variety of equipment available and puts together the components that meets his particular needs. And I don't think most of us regard hi-fi as being that technical that we would shy away from it for that reason.
There you go. I just made my first transmission. The radio was waiting for the frequency to be clear for me to make a transmission. Okay, he didn't answer me, so I will call it. I'm calling him again now.
Okay, this guy is on 14347. I have to change the antennas.
I'm going to move my antenna.
One thing that concerns me is that when you go to ham radio events like swap meets or go to the amateur radio clubs, the overwhelming majority of people are probably over 65.
That's him. I would go back to him, but it's not working.
Well, signals look terrible, that's why.
Often the signals just, if you're too close to them, they'll skip over you, and that's what's happening here. I'm trying to find a good example for you, but
Every time you operate the radio, it's a training exercise so that you can do it better each time.
for some reason it's not keying the radio. I'll have to work on that on my own and tear everything apart and find out why it's not working anymore.
Well, getting gray and getting new people in the hobby is kind of a tough sell. There's a lot of other competition with the internet and cell phones and cell phone apps.
Well, it doesn't look like I'm being real successful here, folks. Oh, there we go. Well, I got the VA too. Oh, now everybody wants to talk to me.
People get the idea that amateur radio is dying. Some of us we're going to die eventually, but hopefully we have left a legacy of interest, maybe not like what I do, but in other areas that technology affects amateur radio. I am not ready to say that amateur radio is dying. I will say that it's evolving.
This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations, please stand by.
I have friends that I made 45 years ago that are still very close friends. Even though I've moved, we communicate via radio, we keep in touch. That's a big deal. I'm hoping that we can pass that spirit of fraternity and community and friendship on to the next generation. And usually everybody understands that to get here, you had to make some kind of an investment. an investment of your time to get your license. And then the first time you get on the air and you pick up the microphone, that's an intrepidating experience. I remember.
All right, so continue to check that out. I'll play a few more minutes maybe after the net, but Grace Wolcott, Ham official documentary. Good evening and welcome to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for March 12th, 2025. A great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. Again, this is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. My name is Daron, and I'm this evening's net control. Last week was a bit of a quieter net. That's not a problem. We had half a dozen or so, or a dozen or so check-ins. Not too much traffic, though, but I really do appreciate updates from Jonathan, KE0SUM, on his recent purchase of the SI4732-based software-defined handheld portable radio. So we talked about that a bit and some other things. We can bring up any of that. We'll be talking about plenty of things here tonight. We'll be taking your comments, questions, check-ins, updates, and more. We meet every Wednesday, except the third Wednesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. You can contact us, Elmer at w0tx.org, and on most social media at Denver Radio Club. That's to include youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you're not able to hit the repeaters, or you'd like to participate in the net in any additional context, that is an additional way to do that. Please do bear in mind a 100 hertz PL tone is required for transmitting. And there is about a 4 or so minute timeout. So after 4 or so minutes after talking, the repeater will automatically stop transmitting, but it will recover about a minute later. With that, let me see. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is K1DBC Net Control. All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. The suffix is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for your call sign and indicate if you have traffic or questions as you check in. As always, you can follow along with check-ins, w0tx.org/check-in. And see details of who's checked in. With that, if your suffix begins with letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Alpha Fox 0 Echo, Alex Broomfield.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Might be another quiet net. Not a problem, though. With that, I had AF0E, Alpha Fox 0 Echo. Alex checking in. Thank you so much for checking in. Anyone else? Alpha through Mike, A through M. We're taking call suffixes A through M. Let us know your call sign, your name. And if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India. Ron in Lakewood. No traffic.
All right, and that time we had KF0FPI. Ron, thank you so much for checking in. We'll open up the whole alphabet. If you'd like to check in, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name. And if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
Kilo Echo Zero Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan Lakewood, with a comment.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
All right, and that time we had KE0SUM Jonathan with a comment or question, and N0TRP Jim. Thank you both so much for checking in. Seeing as how we haven't had too many check-ins, we don't do this too frequently, but third-party check-ins, basically, if someone is around you that is not a ham radio operator and they would like to check in on your behalf or using your call sign, we can also open up to that as well. So we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, and if anybody, third-party check-ins, want to check in, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have traffic or questions, please call now. All right, once more, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, Alpha through Zulu, A through Z. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. Okay, I certainly can bring some things up. If you weren't watching before the net, I was playing a video that I've played a few minutes in the past, and I'm playing a few more minutes. It's a 25-minute documentary called Ham Official Documentary by Grace Wolcott, School of Visual and Media Arts at University of Montana and Montana PBS in cooperation with that. So pretty cool documentary. So I'd encourage you after the net or whenever you have time, check out this documentary on her YouTube channel, Grace Wolcott. With that, I'll throw it back out. Any other, I also do have brought up the QST magazine. So if there's any articles in either QST or any of the other publications, QEX, On the Air, or others. If there's articles or something you want to check into, I can certainly bring those up. I'll try to start also monitoring our DMR 310804 talk group. So if somebody wants to check in on there, I'll see if I can maybe continue to monitor that as well. With that, once more, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know if you have any comments or questions, or if you'd like to check in, please call now.
WD0 CIV, WD0 CIV, no traffic.
All right, WD0CIV, Charles, I got you checked in. Thank you so much for checking in here. With that, nothing heard at the moment. We'll throw it over to Jonathan, KE0SUM. Thanks for checking in, and if you had a comment or question, please go right ahead.
Well, good evening, Drone and the net. I bring up subjects because I talk to a lot of hams. Where I work, everybody's a ham except their wives sometimes. But so I find certain things interesting that hams do or don't know. So I had been curious as an antenna builder for a long time. I didn't understand the difference between a 49 to 1 balun and a 9 to 1 balun. So after research and talking to people, I finally got, because I've always told people, use a 9 to 1 with an end-fed half-wave. And that is a correct statement, but only if you're using a resonant antenna cut to length. Whereas a 49 to 1 is used for a random wire antenna. And I just thought I'd pass that on because I don't know if everyone knows the difference between those two.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for the follow-up on that 9 to 1 versus a 49 to 1 balun and their use cases. If I heard you right, you said the 49 to 1 is better used for random wires. Is that correct, what you mentioned there?
Yes, that's the big difference. Now, you could use a 49 to 1 with a resonant antenna also, but normally you just use a 9 to 1 in that case. But yeah, the 49 1 is for a random wire. So you say random wire, well, it can be kind of any length. I suppose if you're going to try to tune your aluminum gutter or maybe a wire fence of some kind, you might want to use 49 to 1, but I've never tried to tune either of those.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks so much again for that. I'm oddly seeing a somewhat differing opinion potentially. Some people are either mixing up the terminology, but I'm seeing a lot of 49 to 1 being used with end-feds and versus the 9 to 1 random. But maybe that is a part of the confusion out there that you are kind of mentioning is it depend on the situation there of residents potentially. One opinion I'm saying is the first one was on Reddit, 49 to 1 for an end-fed that is resident on one band, and 9 to 1 would be used for a random wire. For the random wire, you need to look online for certain lengths. Another opinion is saying heard a 49, or they've heard 49 to 1 offers better performance over a 9 to 1 random wire. So I'm not too sure if the terminology is getting mixed up or not, but that might be a part of something there. This is K1 DBC. Back to SUM or anyone else.
Well, I'm not sure I caught everything. It sounded like you were saying some people contradict me, which is fine, but no, from my experience over the years, I've always used 9 to 1s, and they've worked fine. I bought 49 to 1s are actually, you can only get them online. LDG doesn't make or sell them, so I bought one from AliExpress just because I thought I'd play with random wire, but I've yet to try it, so that's down the road now that it's getting warmer out.
Not a problem. Yeah, no, I'm not meaning any offense at all. This is K1 at DBC Net Control. Yeah, it seems like it's kind of 50-50 potentially. Some saying it's one way, some saying it's the other potentially. But I guess this is probably a heady topic, so there might be a pretty simple answer and explanation, and maybe things have just gotten confused over the years. But good points. Great. Really do appreciate that. So yeah, anyone else? Usage of 49 to 1 balun versus 9 to 1 balun. When you would use it for end-fed, when you would use it for random wire. What's your recommendations or experiences? Please call now. Alex, Alpha Fox Zero Echo. The net is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, I use both. I use for end-fed, half-wave, half-wave, and so-called random wire. So usually you use 49 to 1 with end-fed half-wave and 9 to 1 anon. It's not balun, it's anon. With so-called random wire, which is not that random actually. After all, it means it's a wire which is not resonant on any of the frequency you are planning to use it. So there is yeah, it's random because it's not like particular to any frequency, but it must not be resonant to any frequency you use it on, and then you need a tuner, and that it will. Take a break, probably. Yeah, and with the tuner you will tune it. Yeah, maybe one band better than the other. I try different. Sometimes you need a counterpoise, although people say you don't need it. Your coax will work as a counterpoise, but it also depends on the frequency. My experience is like on low bands, it's better with counterpoise, like 80 or 160. And upper bands, you can go with coax. Yeah, that's all I have about it. Over.
So, Alex, everything you said I know is true. I was just curious, with a totally random wire, not resonant on any of our frequencies, is that how the 49 to 1 comes into play?
I mean, this number 49 to 1 or 9 to 1, I believe it's all about what the original, if you take the wire, like if it's a resonant and fed, then it has, I believe the resistance is about, you multiply, like the point of using this balance is to bring the resistance, it's closer to 50 ohms. So you multiply like your 49 to 1 divides the resistance by 49 and it becomes 50, right? And then for the random wire, it's 9 to 1, which is, if you take just a random wire, it's about 150 ohms. So with using 9 to 1, you bring it closer to 50 ohms. But again, it's like, from my experience, it's like maybe, but it's more like depending on the band. Could be 20 ohms, could be like 200 ohms. Some bands become 50. That's my experience. I tried it. But still, tuner will tune it. After all, if tuners, not every tuner. It depends on the band again. Or
Excellent. Thanks for the follow-up there. Alex, AF0E, Alpha Fox Zero Echo, into the question of that Jonathan was asking KE0SUM about 9 to 1 versus 49 to 1. It sounds like there is that you maybe kind of cleared that up hopefully a little bit there. So Jonathan or anyone else on that, please call now. All right, nothing heard just at the moment. Just wanted to welcome a few check-ins online. We had KE0TSF Pete, ND9G Randall, calling in from Lowell, Indiana. Appreciate that. And KD0CGF, Kenny, thank you so much for checking in. This is K1 DBC Net Control. It is just 7:50 ticked over to that. I guess we'll take further check-ins if you are listening over on the repeaters. And you'd like to check in on 145.490 or 448.625. This is the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics. We have plenty of combined experience and expertise. It's about an hour long. We have another 40 or so minutes. If you'd like to check in, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, A through Z, Alpha through Zulu. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have traffic or questions. One more call at the moment. I'll take check-ins a few more times throughout the net. But if you'd like to check in, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
N0 TRP with a question.
N0 TRP, Jim, the net is yours.
This N0 TRP, I was viewing the Nano VNA Group IO thread this week, and there was discussion about transmissions on 450 megahertz band that would strong transmissions, powerful signals, maybe 30 watts, 50 watts, that would trip fire alarms that were maybe in the near vicinity. Just wondered if anybody's heard of that or had any experience with that.
All right, this is K1 at DBC Net Control. I'm not sure which Nano VNA group you were looking at. I'm just looking at the one that came up by default. I'm not seeing anything on that specifically at the moment, but I may not be checking all that well. But 450 megahertz tripping fire alarms. I've had an HT close to a GFCI outlet, and it tripped that. So I'm not too sure. But anyone else on that? Radios tripping fire alarms. I know they are based on some sort of I forget which material it kind of detects for. Probably just smoke or something like that. But anyone else on that, please call now.
N0 TRP again. I think the issue was in like condominiums or townhouses, so folks that had maybe stealth UHF antennas, installed in those kind of locations, and then the tripping of the circuits was also mentioned. I didn't realize that you could trip electric circuit with that. Words escaping me right now, but with the UHF signal too. I just found that interesting. N0 TRP back to net.
Oh, gotcha. Sounds good. Yep. For those, like an electrical outlet, your regular three-prong outlet, if it has like a reset, if it has one of those two switches on it to reset it and clear it or something like that, and it has a light on it. I've transmitted just with 5 watts on an HT right next to one of those, and it tripped that. So looking at an article on Reddit, they have some responses. They haven't seen battery power detectors go off, but they've tripped wire alarm systems before. When they were in HF station, they had a terrible dipole. It could make their neighbor's cordless phone ring by keying up 15 meters. Stories I hear often are people's voices coming in over neighbors' radios. That's quite frequent, it seems like, but it doesn't. Let me see. Let me drop here. No mentions at the moment of smoke alarms, fire alarms, but this was a thread from 5 years ago. So things could have changed if, as you were mentioning, they were using a kind of a discrete antenna with fairly higher power than an HT. That you may have some differences. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, just do be aware of those things and make sure that you're using antennas that aren't spurious emitting, and that's kind of the that's the knock-on effect if an antenna is spuriously emitting, is it can do things that it shouldn't. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Comments, questions, check-ins, anyone else on that or anything else? Please come there. Okay, nothing heard at the moment. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Quickly, on some club business, I'll mention this at the end of the net as well. Our upcoming meeting next week, 19th. John Portune, W6NBC. You've seen him before, probably, with our club and others. So we are just deciding on which presentation we'd like him to present to us. So look forward to that next week. John Portune, W6NBC. A link will be provided on our website. It's basically w0tx.org/meet. MEET will redirect you to a Google Meet room. This is K1 DBC Net Control. With that, anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else at the moment? Please come now.
N0TRP, another question.
N0TRP, the net is yours.
It's N0TRP. I'm just curious if anyone's had any experience with DMR, using DMR in the digital voice in a simplex mode between two HTs. Just a simplex operation. I'm a little bit familiar with a C4FM, but not DMR. So just curious if anyone's heard of or done any simplex work with DMR using HTs.
Well, I have a separate question for you. What drew you to DMR? Of the digital modes, say wires X, D-Star, and DMR, DMR is probably the hardest one to learn. So I was curious, are you using Kenwood's? KE0SUN.
No, I'm just in the learning mode at this time, N0TRP.
Oh, so you're not necessarily stuck on DMR then?
Correct.
Well, I think here in the Denver area, actually a lot of across the country, years ago, Yaesu almost gave away repeaters for their Wires X system. Now, the Wires X is, like I said, probably the easiest to use. You touch the button, you enter the proper repeater frequency, and you can go into the different rooms. Whereas D-Star also requires like hotspots and code plugs, and definitely DMR. But that's my personal opinion. I thought I'd share it.
W0TX repeater.
N0TRP. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. I do do some C4FM work, the Wires X, but just was curious about the DMR. Inzo TRP, back to net.
Good evening. The time is 8 p.m.
Well, I guess one other thing is because DMR is not as popular as the others, but why, of course, I use Wires X when I use digital is because I own Yaesu radios. So it depends on what other people are using and how many people you're going to contact, because DMR only has several repeaters around here. I was talking to people just the other night about that, and I find it interesting, but I mean, each his own. This hobby can go all over the place wherever you want to take it.
Excellent. Sounds good. Yeah, it's a fairly heavy internet-based protocol, as a lot of these digital protocols are. But Simplex, you can basically just take it offline. You probably don't even need internet, really. And as long as you have contact set up correctly, you'll have correct information. One example I can think of is maybe Aries groups, maybe, with some of their supports and operations. If there's not a DMR repeater or a digital repeater available, but people do have digital radios, they might set up in their ICS frequency form to use DMR Simplex. I have not played around with Simplex too much. I know that all of the Pi stars and things like those are, they call them Simplex, but I don't know if it's the exact same type of terminology. But yeah, I have not really delved too much into that myself. N0TRP, this is K1DBC. Back to you or anyone else on DMR Simplex operations and usage. Please come there.
Have you researched how far you can go with DMR Simplex as opposed to, say, well, I don't know how far you can go with the DMR Simplex. Do you know, is that connected to, Simplex wouldn't connect to a network, so have you researched that? I was just curious.
N0TRP. Yeah, that's one of my questions, is kind of what is the typical range for that. And I'm thinking in terms of like group activities and that kind of thing. So just curious what the range is, and just a little bit more about how that would work with DMR.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Hopefully it's just as good as FM Simplex, if not better, potentially. But reading an article on radioreference.com, September 7th, 2014, call sign Zulu Lima 2 Kilo Golf, located at Egmont National Park. Let me see where that's based at here. New Zealand. Worked John, call sign Zulu 4 Juliet Yankee, at his home in Waikanai. A distance of over 191 kilometers in Simplex. So another record of 234 and another of 243 in 2018. And 2019, 640 kilometers apparently. So pretty outstanding stuff over using Simplex. I'm not sure how that's possible, but really interesting records and a pinch of salt and references needed on that. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it back out to anyone else. DMR Simplex usage, please go there. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. At least a more CONUS report in Sierra Nevada and California. They can make long distance contacts. He remembers talking with another operator using FM on one and a quarter meters, both using handhelds. over 150 miles away. I'm not sure if this is a DMR or analog, but hopefully with the same power, you can get more out there. With that, this is K1DBC for the W0TX Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? We have another 25 or so minutes. Please call now. Okay, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Great questions so far this evening. Really do appreciate that. We were discussing the differences and usages of 49-1 versus a 9-1 balance or ununs, and where you would use this and why you would use them. Talking about some ham radios maybe tripping some appliances that you might not expect it to. Talking about DMR simplex usages there. Let's see what else. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? I do have the ARL QST magazine brought up. I can bring up any articles on QST or their other publications, recent or prior. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
Comment, SUM.
KE0SUM. Jonathan, with the comment, the net is yours.
So again, it's people I talk to, other hams. So the other day I was talking to a ham I know who's been a ham about 3 years. He's an extra, really smart. So here's the situation, and you all have to get off the top of your head, tell me if he was right or wrong. So he was had invited his mom down to his ham shack, and he was DXing, I think, and decided it'd be nice to have his mom get on the radio to make a contact. So far so good. But then he said, what I did was I had her say my call sign and call out to get a contact. So what did he do wrong?
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. As I mentioned, we don't take often third-party check-ins, but that kind of is kind of skirting that a little bit. So I'll have to. There's probably some rulings, some specific rulings. A non-licensed person can operate under your call while under your direct control. I'm not sure about the how the back and forth has to go on that, but I'd imagine there probably want to be some clear, explicit messaging that that person was not the license holder, essentially. Not sure specifically, but anyone else? Comments, questions on that? Or Jonathan, anything else on that? Go right ahead.
0TX repeater.
Nobody's biting. So actually, I think this is on at least the general test, if not the technician test. So what he did wrong was he did not identify himself as the control operator of the station, and then ask for if it was okay for third-party traffic. And that was a biggie. You can't let no one else can use your call sign. My daughter can't. Nobody. I'm the only one who can use that. So he did that wrong, and then by letting her use the call sign, which wasn't good, what was I thinking? He did a couple of things wrong by not being control operator and letting his mother use his call sign. He should have just asked for if the third-party traffic was okay or not. It just surprised me he didn't know that particular FCC rule.
All right, sounds good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, I think section 97.105, control operator duties. B of that, a station may only be operated in the manner and to the extent permitted by the privileges authorized for the class of the operator. In A, I think the control operator must ensure the immediate proper operation of the station. Wording isn't exactly clear on that, but it's absolutely clear, as you mentioned it. Unless absolutely specified, make sure that your call sign is only used by you, and you should be good. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Great question. Really do appreciate that. And yeah, we don't take those too often, and it's only been in some of the other kind of more relaxed, casual nets I've been a part of that have had those. So, but please do be aware of that if there is someone around you and you'd like to have them check in on your behalf on using your call sign, as long as you're there. And we mentioned third-party check-ins are allowed. Please just do mention what's going on, and we'll be happy to allow that. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now. Let's see, section 97.115, a station licensee may allow a third party to use the station under the direct supervision of the licensee. The licensee must be physically present and actively involved in the control of the station at all times. So as long as you're present and actively involved in the operation of the radio, your partner can use they can use your radio using your call sign. It's common practice among operators and allows them to share their hobby with others. Very cool. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? We have another 15 or so minutes. Please go now.
Well, can you go back to your check-in screen for a moment? Thank you, SUM.
This is K1 DBC Net Control, w0tx.org/check-in if you want to see it on your side as well. But I have gone back to that. If there is a name or a call sign on there you'd like to ask about or have questions on, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Jonathan, if there was anything further on that you needed, we had a total of 9 check-ins so far. New check-in by Randall Online, November Delta 9 Golf, hailing from Lowell, Indiana, and a few others checking in online. Really do appreciate that. Anyone else on that? Or Jonathan, please call now. Okay, nothing heard. Again, if you want to operate as a net control operator, we have a tool available. We're trying to get self-check-ins implemented, but it's just not a smooth way that we found so far. But if you do take net control for us, we have a spreadsheet. You essentially just type in a call sign, and it automatically fills in the name, their call class, city, and a bunch of dates and times, things like that. So it makes checking in a lot easier. With that, 15 or so still minutes. Comments, questions, check-ins, please call now.
Echo 5, India Tango, check-in, negative traffic.
All right, good to hear you in there. Chris, Alpha Echo 5, India Tango. Chris, got you checked in. All right. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? We've been talking about different matching units, Ununs and Balins, and where you would use it, and which type of antennas you would want to use those for, DMR simplex usages, and all sorts more. We're taking your comments, questions, check-ins. Anything else? Comments, questions, check-ins. Let us know if you have any other anything you'd like to bring up for the net. I can certainly read an article or two, but we have another, again, 15 or so minutes. All call signs, all call suffixes will take check-ins and or any other comments or questions. Please call now.
Comment, SUM.
KE0 SUM with the comment. The net is yours.
I like ham radio, but as you know, over the years, Ron, I live in a second-story townhome at Jewel and Wadsworth, and I have tried different antenna configurations with inside my house. The HOA now said I can put something on the outside, but I think pretty much at this time I've given up. Because if you look it up on Google, Jewel and Wadsworth, to the south of me is a King Soopers Plaza Center. Across the street to the east is a whole bunch of fast food restaurants, etc. And to the north is a McDonald's and a gas station. And closer to me is Arby's, Wendy's, and another shopping center. So I just think I have too much RFI in this house. I'm never going to eliminate it. I've tried verticals, I've tried horizontal antennas, but I don't see any way around it. I mean, I've choked and everything. And I think the reason I've given up on that is because in my car are some ham sticks, a little bag with the G90, and I can drive probably 2, maybe 3 miles or less to a big park here in Lakewood to my northwest. And, I put up that ham stick, and I've talked all over the place with it. So I hate to admit defeat, but I've been working at this a long time. So I thought I'd give you an update. KE0, SUM, back in that.
W0TX repeater.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry to hear that. Admitting defeat. It's not, none of us like doing that, unfortunately. And that is too bad to hear that the noise floor in that area just might be heavier than in other areas. I mean, there's definitely a lot of retail outlets. And I mean, drive-through fast food. They have some radio stuff and things like that. And but that is too bad to hear, unfortunately. So thanks for the update though on that. And it sounds like you've tried all the different kind of options out there. So if anybody, I mean, that is a fairly popular area for our club membership, I believe. Lakewood, we do have a lot of members out there. So it'd be interesting to hear if anybody else out there in the Lakewood area, South Lakewood, around north of Bear Valley area. Again, as mentioned, South Wadsworth and Jewel area. Anyone on that? Comments, questions, signal reports that you have had in the past, or you're in that area and can give some advice? Please call now.
E5IT.
E5IT, the net is yours.
I would say that as nice as it is to have a nice station at home, one of the side benefits of POTA being so popular these last few years is a lot of people have discovered the joys of driving 20 to 40 minutes to an RF quiet area, relatively RF quiet area, and putting up a little fiberglass pole and operating away where it's away from all the city RF noise and nice, easy to hear people. That has made a lot of people really happy, and I know a lot of POTA people have sold or put in storage their home RF stations just because it's so much nicer for them to operate out in the wilderness like that.
I will say, see, I just did a POTA activation, I think last weekend at Chatfield, and I like getting out, enjoying the sun, but yeah, we made, we were trying the DX contest, but no, that didn't work at start. Then we activated a POTA there at 17 meters, and at the very end we got a POTA contact from Argentina, so we did make a contact. But yeah, I like it when you can get out and the signals are clear. Of course, that's why we head to the mountains and don't really, it'd be nice to hear a lot at home, especially in the winter, but such is my lot in life.
Okay, gotcha. Sounds good. Thanks for the update there. And 885 IT, absolutely. That is probably some of the reasons that parks on the air, summits on the air are becoming a bit more popular, is because unfortunately noise floors are increasing and in our cities, and it's becoming more and more difficult in denser housing to operate, unfortunately. So even though we are getting more and more legal rights to do so, we just have to contend with the actual reality of the technical issues that we have to deal with, unfortunately. So, that is too bad to hear. I'm sorry about that. But, plenty of people in that area. So we'll have to see if we can maybe help you out there. I'm not too sure. But this is K1 DBC Net Control. Any other further comments, questions, or check-ins on that? Please call there.
FBI.
Yeah, Ron, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India, KF0 FPI. The net is yours.
Yeah, I did a couple. I got a voice problem tonight, but, excuse me. I live a couple blocks north of Jonathan, and I spin hex beam and UHF, VHF Yaggies at about 20, 15 feet. I got UHF, VHF vertical and HF vertical. And I get around pretty good. Yes, the noise level's there, but the higher the better. But I know exactly where you live, Jonathan, and that could be an intensively noisy place. But for what I do, I like playing sideband, a little HF, and I'm not out to get the record Argentina. I'm having a grand time with my little farm here and my radio, so that's what I do. And like you said, there's so many facets in this. We're never going to run out of facets and be bored. This is KF0FPI, back to net.
All right, thanks for the follow-up there, Ron, KF0FPI. I think you might be in a detached house compared to potentially what what Jonathan was mentioning, he's in a condo. That might be the key difference there potentially, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So it sounds like maybe the noise level shouldn't be too bad, hopefully, but maybe just the specific place where he's at just is maybe more prone to it. I'm not too sure. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Jonathan, Ron, or anyone else? Please call now.
Well, before you closed, Ron, last couple weeks I talked about getting this little SI 4537 radio. So, yeah, I have two of them, and they receive FM stereo and all the AM medium wave bands just fine in the house, AM stuff. But the other night I was playing around with this little radio sitting in front of my computer with a long aftermarket whip that I have. It's probably a couple feet long anyway, but I actually got heard 40 meters in the house. And so it was like, oh, this is cool. I'm actually getting an HF station very weekly in my house with a $23 radio. So I thought I'd let you know that because it was pretty fun.
Excellent. Thanks for the continued follow-up on that. Yeah, from last week, it sounded like we may not have been too happy with that purchase, but for that price point, who can really balk at that, quite frankly. So to hear that you're getting better and better performance as you're using it more is excellent to hear. So yeah, this is again another Palm-based software-defined HF radio, essentially, shortwave radio with a nice screen on it, and it's a pretty cool option out there. So SI4732 mini spy radio or something like that. You'll find it under AliExpress and other outlets. Very cool. Thank you so much for the follow-up on that. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that or anything else? We have just a few more minutes. Please call now.
IT.
I forgot to say, I guess using the correct antenna or a better antenna makes a world of difference for sure. With that AE5IT, Chris, go ahead.
I had stepped away for a minute, so I apologize if the conversation has moved on. But going back to the high local noise situation, I was also recently reminded of the joys of using remote receivers. There's a couple of SDR receivers online around Denver, which have a much quieter receive environment. You can transmit through a noisy noise floor just fine if you've got a reasonably close receiver that you can tune into online, so you can hear the signals that would be coming to you if the Wendy's weren't deafening you. That's something to maybe think about. Listen on your PC and transmit on your G90.
Oh, so you're saying like put a little RTL on and watch where signals are coming in and use it that way?
Well, that works for sure, but if your local noise floor is very high, the RTL SDR is going to be deafened just as much as your G90. What I'm suggesting is you go online and find other SDRs in the region around Denver Metro that are already available for public use, and if those are in a quiet receive environment, you can reasonably expect that if there's a receiver in Westminster, they're probably hearing more or less the same signals that you would be hearing in Lakewood if you weren't deafened by the Wendy's. I know W0AIR has a receiver up in Berthoud at the high school, and it's usually pretty quiet up there.
Oh, thanks for the excellent feedback. I appreciate it. KE0SUM, back to net.
Excellent. Great options there. Thank you so much for bringing that up there, AE5IT. WebSDR.org, for example, is one option. Another one is rx-tx.info. Has a good map of some of the receivers that you can tap into. And it's literally just a click of a link, and it brings up a audio stream and a nice looking waterfall right in your web browser. So half a dozen or so receivers in the Denver metro area, at least on this one website, and there's probably a lot more out there. So I always forget about how we can use software-defined radio receivers and then forget that people put them out there as servers for listening purposes, which is really awesome. So you can double check if you're ever interested. You can also just use these as double checking your signal, things like that. With that, awesome. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It's just ticked over 8:31 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll probably start wrapping things up, but anyone else, any other last minute comments, questions, check-ins, or anything else for this evening's Learning Net, please call now.
Well, I thought one more thing I'd mention is that little radio I'm using. When I was hearing 40 meters, it was well out of band for any privileges an extra would get, which I'm not. I'm a general. But, yeah, you have to tune around a while because, of course, 40 meters you can hear DX and things. I couldn't quite tell where these guys were from, but they were speaking good English. But so it's, yeah, it was interesting.
Sounds good. This is K1DBC Net Control. I think we as a society are rediscovering shortwave radio listening. I'm fairly too young to have had a shortwave radio in my youth, but some of you may have had one out there. So shortwave radios have been around for quite a long time to listen into a lot of the stuff we're trying to listen into now, but just using nicer tools and more updated things. So not necessarily having to reinvent the wheel. If you're ever interested, maybe just buy your just an average shortwave radio that's been around for quite some time now. With that, this is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now. Okay, nothing heard. Thanks again, everyone here. Let's see, we had last minute thing here. SRF guy in YouTube wanted to check in as well. Been watching on YouTube, but swapped over to laptop. Really do appreciate that. I'll get you checked in if you can provide a name or call sign, but I'll get you checked in otherwise as it is. But thanks for checking in there. Again, club business real quick. Again, John Portune, W6NBC. He's... we've booked him to present our meeting on the 19th next week. W6NBC.com for more info on him. Lots of cool topics and lots of cool presentations. So whatever we choose, whatever presentation we choose, will be really well received. This is K1DBC Net Control. Let me see. Let me drop back to the script here. We had a total of, I think, with this other additional check-in, 11 check-ins. Really do appreciate that. We appreciate our Elmers for helping us here. We appreciate everyone chiming in and helping each other, essentially. And we appreciate our club for allowing us to use their repeaters. Let's see. Tomorrow night we have our tech committee meeting. Myself and a few others will be discussing how we run our website and our repeater sites. If you're interested in that, please don't hesitate to contact myself or anyone else on our club board. If you head over to our website, w0tx.org, under officers, staff, and volunteers, plenty of contact information on there. I'll be playing just a few more minutes of a documentary I was playing beforehand, a Ham official documentary by Grace Wolcott. With that, this will be the last minute opportunity for any last minute check-ins. Last minute check-ins, please call now.
Kilo Delta Zero Whiskey, Mike Oscar, Steve and Aurora.
Excellent. Steve, got you checked in there. KD0 WMO. Haven't heard from you in a while, but glad to have you in here. Thank you so much for checking in. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, thanks again, everyone, for checking in. Next week, we'll have our meeting online, w0tx.org, for more information on that. With that, 7-3, and I will be clear.
Man, all these other guys that have been in it forever, what if I make a mistake? What if I say something stupid and they think, well, you got to put all that in your hip pocket. Hello, CQ, this is KR7Q. That's where you start. And from that point, relationships start building.
N0TRP.
Anybody listening on 5Q Simplex today, KR7Q? That's Lance. W7GJ. Is that you, Lance, KR7Q? Let me see if I can get the house turned around here a little bit and point it at you. Are you copying me, Lance? Over. Okay, I think I've got the antenna pointed on you now. I'm in the Bitterroot Valley, as you know, and I have the film crew here. We've been using your name in vain on a couple of topics. Over. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Well, we're having a great time, and let's see, you are in Frenchtown, is that right?
Yep, that's right, Dennis. KR7Q, W7GJ in Frenchtown, Montana. And you're coming in here just great. Of course, this is a local call, but it's working well. Over.
The reason our signals are not real good between us is I have a very big ridge between me and Missoula, and that makes it difficult to be able to get a signal to where you are at on the line of sight. I'm using a 5-element cubicle quad that I built, and without that I would never ever be able to hear you on the vertical antenna. So this is great that we're able to make contact.
That sounds great, Dennis. Yeah, I'm just using a whip antenna and 10 watts here, so I don't have the big EME station turned on to work you. Well, good luck contacting some other people and telling them all about your activities. KR7Q, W7GJ, 73.
Okay, Lance, very good. Thank you. I've got a real good copy on you now. A little bit of static, but a good copy. I enjoy the work that you do. I can't even spell EME, so it's always fascinating. But anyway, thanks for being there for us. W7 Grape Juice, W7GJ, KR7Q, 73.
73, Dennis. Talk to you later. KR7Q, W7GJ.
That's great.
Frenchtown, Montana, clear.
That might stir up somebody else. Anybody else listening on frequency? KR7Q.
K7MSO.
And there's the old dog himself. How you doing, K7MSO? I'll see if I can turn the house around a little bit. I got all your friends from the college here. Over.
That was a lot of fun. That really made my month, I would think, having them come by and do their thing. And not much going on here today, just kind of cleaning things up. Over.
Very good. Well, thank you for putting us in contact together. Anyway, Mike, we're going to make sure that Grace here follows through with her commitment to get her licensed, okay?
Okay, yeah, I've talked to different people, and we've made it a priority to help her in any way we can. That's wonderful. And good luck on that, Grace. I hope to be seeing you soon on that. I'll let you guys get back to chatting. This is K7MSO in Missoula.
Thanks again for your input on this. 73, K7MSO, KR7Q. See you later.
Right then. Talk to you all soon.
Okay, that's it for me. KR7Q, clear and listening. Well, that was kind of cool. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. And you see what I mean? This is fun.
It is fun. It is fun. It's amazing, the friends that you have from all over the world. I presented at a conference outside of London 10 years ago or so, and I roomed in England with a friend of mine from South Africa. And we still keep in touch, and we still make contacts on moonbounce when I go out on de-expeditions. It's just so wonderful to have these friends everywhere. It is a worldwide community, and we do feel close ties to our friends in other countries. And it's a wonderful way to bring the world together.
All right, so check that documentary out in full, 25 minutes by Grace Wolcott, Ham official documentary on her YouTube channel in conjunction with School of Visual and Media Arts and University of Montana and Montana PBS. It's been a pleasure. 7-3. Have a good evening.